We're trying to deal with many aspects at this particular conference. Certainly from succession, companies need to think in terms of how they're going to transition to the next generation of owners. Are they going to build it? Will mergers and acquisitions seem to be far more prevalent? We're going to talk about skill shortages and some of the ideas in terms of how do we get a more flexible, skilled workforce that is able to respond to the fact that there will be a smaller workforce. So things like lean construction, pre-planning, prefabbing, BIM, they're all tools that allow us to be more productive going forward with not only a smaller workforce, but one that may not be as skilled in some aspects. And so that certainly covers the labor side of it. We're talking about just how businesses have to change their focus in terms of the markets and how they go to market and where they go into market. Are they going to be local? Are they going to be national? Are they going to be international? We have many companies that today are world class, and we want to encourage them to think about that, because certainly the rest of the world is looking at Canada. By 2020, we will be the 5th busiest construction nation in the world, behind only China, United States, Japan, and India. And other countries are starting to recognize that. That's why we see the influx of a lot of the international corporations that are coming in. And finally, we're probably looking at what is the impact of these new players who have different strategies, different security needs, different ways to go to market, and how is that going to impact us going forward. I'm quite looking forward to becoming the incoming chair of CCA. I think the focus of what you're going to see out of the CCA, and certainly out of the chair going for the next 12 months, is what's being started today at this conference. And that is the fact that industry has to recognize that we're in a constant world of change today. Our supply chains are no longer local or national. In many cases, they're becoming international. Our labor supply issues are not just by trade, they're not by industry, they're actually right across the whole spectrum of Canadian workforce. There's going to be competition between sectors, whether it's manufacturing versus construction, not just between electricians and mechanical contractors for people. And so what we're trying to do is get that message out, that the contractors have to be aware of that the contractors can together come up with some kind of creative solutions to help us, because there are going to be a lot of challenges going forward as this whole new construction market changes in the next 10 to 15 years. We're quite excited about the fact that Peter Mansbridge did take the time to do the keynote address. In his speech, Peter did talk about not only how change affects him, how it's affected CBC, but he also talked about the role of Canadians in the world market, and how those changes are being reflected back in terms of people's images for us. I think there was 2 comments I heard. One was you could have heard a pin drop in the room as the whole audience was listening very intently. And some of the stories were very touching, to the point that I even had delegates say they had a tear in their eye. Very professional, very good speaker, who I think has really opened up this conference in an outstanding way in terms of this whole concept of change, and it's up to us to decide what we want to do about it. I look at personally, and I know that a number of the individuals we deal with look at the Canadian Annual Conference as probably one of the best opportunities to share this kind of information exchange, to network, and certainly we'd like to encourage more people to consider coming and helping us to learn from their experience as well, and when we go to future conferences such as the one next year in Charlevoix.